Welcome to Lucid Ascent with Alchemical Cabala, rising on the plains through the middle pillar. So this week's path is so important in Kabbalah and the Western tradition that we will spend the next three classes working on this path alone. Now, it's sometimes said in the mysteries, the teaching is the wise person follows the middle path. So just kind of set with that. You may probably heard this before, but please unmute yourselves one at a time. Just share what that says to you, how you process that.
I would say in my heart, it's like dancing between the poles, like the different polarities. It's like a dance. I'm not going to be over here or over here, but I'm experimenting through, I'm weaving through these places within myself in the world.
Excellent. Thank you, Starlight. I love your choices of words. The dance, absolutely, and the experiment. Um, the path of temperance, which we're on, is the path of trial and error. And it's where we test all the things that we receive, and we test them repeatedly to prove them to ourselves. Are they so or are they not? That's part of this. Anyone else? A wise person follows the middle path.
I was just sure that what comes to mind is being on a balance beam and just having that and just having that balance, that steadiness, that movement. It's like if you go too far one way or too far the other, it's you're having to oscillate, but kind of when you stay on that balance beam, it's or that or like I think of like gosh, what was that documentary, Man on Wire? That just that same type of thing of just I know he's holding that long pole and all that, but it's still just like
Mhm.
staying on that one, just that middle line, and just the level of, yeah, I'll leave it that I could
That's
wax poetic
excellent.
about that movie, but yeah.
Yeah, I can feel what you're saying. That's very cool, Easy. Thank you. Anyone else before we move forward?
I think about staying in the middle path, meaning staying listening to your heart, because on each side there's many voices, and you can sort of be, you can get, I guess, off the path and go either right or left. Um, just listening to others and not to your own intuition. So kind of like, you know, to stay in tune to yourself, because I think you can get influenced a lot by what is said in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very, very insightful. Thank you, Christine. Okay, so here's our key for this next three classes. There's a part in the prayer of the Great White Brotherhood that says, I strive. And then it goes on and says, to be so poised, so balanced, that none but self can comprehend. This is a lot of the work of the temperance key and the work that the angel is doing to bring us into this balance that only self can comprehend. Now, one of the most interesting facts, I guess, about this one key is this is the first key in the major arcana to actually show us the path. This whole, we all talk about this path, the spiritual path, on the path, do the path. But this is the first key, and it's key 14. but it's the first one to actually show us an image of the path. It's worth contemplating as you do your nightly core practice. We see the path here rising up from this pool, and the pool is Yesod, the astral plane. Now, another interesting thing about this key is this figure, this being, is only wearing a white robe. There's nothing else that they're in their garments. They don't have like the red over robe of the magician. They don't have all the different layers, even of the fool. They have like just the white robe. On the tree, and in the Western tradition, this is the path that connects the moon, the astral plane, to the sphere of the sun. In Kabbalah, a primary goal in the whole great work, and this path in particular, is to make an authentic inner conscious connection to this being and spirit of the sun. We first do this through assumption that it's possible, one, and two, by asking and then persisting. So the angel or being shown here in the tradition is the angel Mikael or Michael, which means who is like God. And this being in Kabbalah and the Western tradition is your holy guardian angel. And as the representative or the spiritual uh, being of this sun in this solar system, this guardian angel is also the guardian angel that oversees all of humanity. It's quite beautiful that this being is intimately connected to you and knows you better than anyone, and also oversees and knows everyone within its own sphere. Last week, we ended with the teaching in Kabbalah that every sincere prayer, cry for help to this great being of the sun is always responded to, whether we are conscious of that or not. And Kabbalah says this is so. The Hebrew letter associated with this path is the blue letter you see here. It's what's called Samek. Samek, it means tent, prop, or peg. So back in the olden days when people were in the deserts and needed shelter, the most simple basic shelter was a tent. And this big giant hole in the center held the center of the tent up. And that's what is meant by this letter Samek. It's the support that supports the entire protective dwelling place within which we dwell. And this is our dwelling within. So what this is suggesting and pointing to is that the meditation on this letter, Samek, and the temperance key, is it connects us to that which supports our whole being and life. That which looks over our entire incarnation ceaselessly. And according to Kabbalah and even traditional Kabbalah, this being is assigned to us by the Almighty, by the All, to oversee us in our development. Okay. Where did you go? There you are. All right. So, in your nightly meditations, it's good to take little images of pieces of the key when you're doing your core practice and just hold them in your own inner visualization. This is one in particular that's pretty potent. And this image was shown in our last class on You Saw. So here we see this angel dipping their foot into the waters of You Saw. Please, anyone, unmute yourselves and share what do you make of this imagery? What does it suggest or what occurs to you in?
What occurs to me is I picture the physical body as if the foot is on Malkut in below the plane of the astral plane in Yesod. So there's this association with the physical experience, and it shows how we're part of this being. This is a continuation of this same being, which is who we are.
Excellent. Thank you, Jesse. Anyone else?
We stand in the watery plains of, or the watery astral planes of the mind.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. Anyone else? All
Does
right.
this have anything to do with dreaming and lucid dreaming, where maybe you have one foot in the water, but you're not fully there?
That's a really good question, Susan. So, it's a really good question. I'm gonna let you contemplate on that. All right. So the astral plane or planes, we're talking about an immensely deep and wide aspect of our reality that we experience in creation. And these planes um, that we experience in our dreams, that's the easiest way to speak about it. These consist of virtually endless experiences of thoughts and almost endless experiences of feelings. Now, who remembers what thoughts and feeling are? What spheres are those on the tree? Anyone?
Toad and Netzach.
Perfect. Thank you, Jesse. Yes. So here it is. Right. So, okay. This is Hode, right? Mercury, and it's the intellect or thought. That's just the most simple way of putting it. This is Venus, our desire nature, our emotions and feelings. It's the most simple way to put it. Now, notice these four bottom spheres on the tree below the sun. The thought sphere and the desire sphere, Mercury and Venus, they are above the astral or the moon, but they're still below the sun on the tree. So observe yourself throughout the day in your life and watch where your awareness is identified with throughout your day. So often what happens is our awareness tends to vacillate and identify with these four lower spheres on the tree. For example, we're like, oh, I feel this way. I've got these, my emotion, this is what I desire, this is what I feel. I think this. I think it, right? This is me, my thoughts. I'm thinking this, I'm feeling this. This is who I am, what I am. And these things combine into the lower moon sphere of the astral. Okay, that's why so many dreams are just filled with emotional and unprocessed mental content, right? And that's where most people stay almost all the time in a pretty much dream sleep. Even during the day, it's like this waking, sleepwalking through what we call the world or reality. This is why in the practice we every day we say this is a dream. This is a dream. And we just keep tilling that soil with the thoughts to we start to wake up a little more in it. A little more in it. Waking up a little more. Okay. So most of the time we're identifying ourselves with our feelings, what we think, our dreams, and our flesh body down here in Malkut. Oh, I'm this body. Okay. There's nothing wrong with this. This is how it usually goes. It's because we're incarnate in this level of vibratory reality. Now, remember the spiritual path in a nutshell. You can just simplify it to one little statement. It's just remembering our actual self and re-identification of these selves from these aspects of thinking we're the body, thinking we're these dreams, thinking we're these thoughts, and thinking we are these desires or feelings. It's not something we fight to get rid of. We that's futile. That's like the tar baby thing, right? If y'all know that story. The more you wrestle with it, the more it becomes a thing. No, we just let it go. We let it go and we let it go. Now, here's the good news. Now, back to for completing this thought. So, the spiritual path in a nutshell is re identification of self from the creation closer and nearer to the creator. The holy guardian angel, or HGA in the Western tradition, is the higher being and intelligence up here in the sun above all of these, or which precedes all of this and oversees all of this. And this angel, this part of you, okay, it's part of your true, it is your true being. This part of your being is able to discern all these endless images in the four spheres below, all the desires, all the thoughts, all the collective dreams of humanity for eons. It's able to see the patterns, and its wisdom is so much greater because why is this? Well, this being then is able to help us, lift us up out of these patterns, back to remembering who and what we really are. Now, in the classical Cabala and the Christian mysteries, the astral plane was known as Egypt. Okay? And this is where you get the story of Moses going to free the the children of Israel from the the bondage that's associated with the unconsciousness of the astral planes of Egypt. And remember, they wander around 40 years, right? And where they're going is the promised land, the land of milk and honey, which on the tree is shown as the heart or the sun. These are the real inner teachings of the story of Exodus. What we're exiting is a state of dream, just pure sleep, and waking up more and more. Okay. Now, the beauty of the Holy Guardian Angel is it's our help. It's what's assigned to us to help us through all of our creation as we evolve and grow. And we do evolve and grow through all of these experiences. And we become more intimately aware of who we really are. But we need the help of this solar deity because this is where we come from. So this is important. The Holy Guardian Angel in Cabala is the same as the Christos in the Christian mysteries. It's the same as Mithra in the Persian mysteries, Apollo in the Greek mysteries, Horus and Ra in the Egyptian mysteries. But just like you are one self, you might have many different names, and you might have many different aspects that you express yourself through. The solar being that we live, move, have our being in is one solar being. And a very, very real being. Our work on this path is to develop and deepen our relationship with this being within ourselves. Now, don't forget this. What the Holy Guardian Angel represents and is the part of you that was before all creation. It's the part of you that is now, and it's the part of you that will be. So in Kabbalah, we see on the breastplate above the heart that formula of the tetragrammaton. All that was, all that is, and all that will be. But this is the part of you that always was, is now, and forever will be. Okay, so again, the way we deepen this contact is to simply ask for it. It's like the woman in the Bible beating on the door of the king, asking for help. Be like that. Don't go away in your practice with this until you receive it. And the statement of knowledge and conversation with the Holy Guardian Angel is not a metaphor. Now, you can experience it in many different ways, but it's a pretty fair statement of the experience of the peak of this particular path. Now, can someone unmute themselves and tell me which spheres this key and path connects specifically?
The sun and the moon.
Perfect. Thank you, Victoria. Yes, the sun and the moon. Now, look at the angel, right? Its foot is in Yesod, the moon. What's the symbol on the head of the angel?
soul, the sun.
The sun. Yes, perfect, easy. Thank you. Soul. It's a good catch, a good pickup. So this one being is connecting the sun and the moon in one being. All right. Now, the core practice in the alchemical Cabala with this key alone, will nurture and accelerate this relationship with our own incarnate personality and the solar being within us. This is the inner experience here is really similar to what many churches, Christian churches, mean and are trying to bring about when they tell people to invite Jesus Christ into your heart. But I want to be clear that the teaching of the Western tradition and Kabbalah in the Western tradition is this is inclusive of all religions. All religions. That's why your experience here in the solar aspect of the tree can and often will have you experiencing the same being through different expressions. So there's only one. There's only one sun in our system, one solar reality. So our work in the tradition is to make room in our own hearts, just like the seven-pointed star, for the living Son of God to come and fill, to open within us, to nurture this, just like the Master Jesus did, and just like so many other masters have done as well, offering them up in service to the one through the Son. Our sun is our direct connection to and toward the one, as they say in Sufism. It's our connection to the all. And it's the mediator, that which mediates the vast, eternal, infinite all with the microcosm. We have to kind of burn in our heart to have a real sincere desire to have these experience, to wake up and recognize this being within. But that's why in the Western tradition, why we have the tarot. It helps us ripen to these inner experiences and realities. This being is the one being in contact with that which is authentically in control. Peace. All right, I want you to take a breath and relax, and I want you to make some extra room for this next part within yourself and your heart. Take a deep breath, feel the light of the sun within your heart, relax, and just make space. Feel yourself expand. This is important to mention. This solar being that we in the West call the Christos is not only of a masculine expression. In fact, throughout maybe forever, many traditions have many feminine deities associated with the sun. that we aren't as familiar with in the West. But there is one classically associated in the West. We know her as Mary. And where do we see this? We see this in the Revelations, where it speaks of the woman clothed in the sun. That said, in the Egyptian mysteries, we have two deities. One is called Sekhmet, a lioness goddess of the sun, and the other is Bastet, also a lioness goddess of the sun. These are fierce, strong, immense beings, also expressions of the solar reality. Now, these great beings of the sun, again, are often associated as feminine beings with lion-like features, either a lion head or other aspects of their body. All right. In the major arcana, there's only two beings wearing all white. This one, who can please someone unmute and say who's the other?
Strength.
Perfect, Victoria. Thank you. Yes. The number 8 key, Lady Strength. Now, look at what she's holding. All right. So this is a feminine expression of the solar logos. And in astrological terms, in the tradition, this is Leo, which rules the heart, right? The lion, Judah. So we have Lady Strength here as a feminine expression of the solar reality, and the Archangel Michael as a masculine type expression. Now, here's what's really interesting. On the tree, there are where these two keys fall, or where they occur, I should say, are both middle paths. Blow this up a little. Vertically, Michael, Temperance Key, the Holy Guardian Angel, is the middle path on the middle pillar. So there's the path below him, the dancer, which Starlet was talking about earlier in the balance. And above him is the high priestess, which is also an expression of Mary, who crosses this horizontal middle path of the strength key. These are the two most middle paths on the tree. And the only two figures all in white. Now, just muse on that a moment. Why do you think that these two figures are only wearing white? Anyone, just unmute yourselves.
Being in the middle there, clothed by the pure white light, is what comes to me as we were talking about the fountain breath,
Perfect.
that kind of imagery.
Perfect. Thank you, Jesse. Anyone else?
The reflections of the true self.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Victoria. And to that point, where would that be on the tree, on the Sephiroth, the true, the divine self?
Keter.
Perfect. Yes, Ketu. So, one thing to contemplate here Sometimes Keter, because it's the crown up here, but it's the next Sephiroth down, it's the sun, can be called the sun behind the sun, right? So these beings, wearing all white, they are expressions of the divine self through the solar logos. Very pure, pure of heart. And remember, in alchemy, purity doesn't mean whatever norm or ethical, not to say we dismiss ethics, we don't, but it's not about judgment of those things. Purity simply means without admixture. That's it. To be pure is to be unconflicted in your desire. You want this one thing more than any other thing in that you could ever dream of. Only this one thing. You burn that desire and you keep burning it away until all these other little things just get burnt up and they add fuel to that fire. In the Western tradition, again, the sun is called sometimes the secret heart of humanity. And something you might like to visualize that's associated with the tradition is to visualize the sun within your own heart and to also visualize a child within the center of the sun. If it helps you, think of the children in the sun key. Imagine them right in the middle of the sun as one. Okay. So we see the guardian angel Michael has this golden seven-pointed star on at the heart level. This suggests that all the seven planets or aspects within us have been brought to a state of gold, right? Which in alchemy is the spirit. It's what this is. It's a refinement. It's like the refiner's furnace that brings about this gold. We know that seven is the Venus sphere on the tree, and it's also the number of mastery. Now, in the 3x7 layout, this is the last column. If we lay out the Book of Wisdom and read it, this is the last vertical column from top to bottom. We see the number 7 up there, right above the Holy Guardian Angel, right above the dancer. There's a lot going on in this column. And but what it represents essentially is the final row of attainment in this particular layout of creation in Malkut at this point in our evolution. So if I ask you, what is it that is being mastered? Just unmute yourselves one at a time and just state what occurs to you that that would be.
It seems to me that it's being mastered, becoming one with the true self, knowing oneself.
That's beautiful, Victoria. Thank you.
The animals in the temperance key speak to this with the colors of red and the white, the raw power of Gebura. Is that how you say
Excellent.
it?
Yep.
That raw power is being directed and
Yes.
mediated.
Excellent. Yes. Yes and yes. And remember, these are animal aspects of our creation, right? When we as human beings, we are multidimensional beings all the way up the tree. But here in Malkut, we get animal bodies. We get all the aspects of the animal that go with this. This is one of the major parts of us to master. It's this animal kingdom, right? And in the Genesis story, we were created to have dominion over all of these kingdoms.
The
And
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you get it. Go on.
Well, I was with regards to the question had posed about like what this would represent. I guess the two words that kind of came up, I mean, first was union, just with just looking at what this is and the the awakening within uh like with the temperance key, but it's like union and awakening are the two things, and just that because a lot of this, especially like looking at the temperance key and all that, there's this and just like the layout right on the tree of just kind of the thoughts and desires and things pulling around, all this kind of stuff. But then more and more as there's a deepening of an understanding, it's like those again, like the dross, right, kind of fall away and fall away. Not that it's not there, but it's like just the focus and just the coming together, just the union of where one's mind is, actions are aligned, your reactions are there too, just all that. So, just, I mean, that's just the feeling, coming through this. Because once we get to the chariot key, where it's just that there's a poise, there's a there is, I mean, in the driver's seat, and it's
Yep.
like you can't do that if you're scattered all over the place, do whatever. But when it becomes much more focused and when you think of it, I mean, when I think of a master, it's like one who knows, they know what they're doing. There isn't a question of are they doing A or B? It's like there's just a ease and a presence and a focus that's all there that just
Yes.
seems very much aligned rather than scattered about and that just distraction. So that whole aspect of mastering, just that journey through it, it's part of that is that again, the union is what it. I'm thinking earlier about like we're talking about the beginning of like what the middle path may mean and just stuff like
Right.
that. But yeah, so
Excellent,
so I share
Evie.
that.
Thank you. So we know the temperance key is right here, rising from the astral. It rises above these other two spheres on the sides of thought and desire into the sun. So the angel itself is shown tempering these two polarities within us, right? You can call it our masculine, feminine. You can call it our yin, our yang. You can call it all the things. But the beauty of tarot is just simply meditating on this key teaches us what can't be taught otherwise, how to actually harness these polarities and how to raise them. So the angels pouring water on the fire of the lion and pouring fire on the water of Scorpio. And this fire on the water and water on the fire is creating this steam that rises. And that steam through the sun gives us the rainbow. But it's also air and it rises. One of the old words associated with this path was called wrath, the wrath of God. But that was a little bit of a blind. The esoteric teaching is this is just vibration. It's taking the lower vibrations and raising them as high as possible so that consciousness rises with it. through the central column, through the middle pillar, which physiologically is very much akin to the spine within you and the two currents that spiral through us. The angel tempers this, and most how many people experience this at first is they'll have an inner experience that's unconscious like a dream, and they'll get infuriated. It flares up their temper. You'll hear someone, oh man, they got a temper. What's happening there is all the identification with self and the thoughts and the feelings and the animal nature are being triggered by the higher being. And this fire accelerates the growth. And a lot of times that looks like drama on the stage of life, or just internal drama of a dream. But the point is, no matter what you're going through or experiencing in your dreams, ask yourself, ask the guardian angel to show you. And eventually, in your dreams, when you start being tested or tempted, you start to recognize and say, wait a second, I'm not going to just react to this. This pattern. If you here's an easy way to see where this is occurring in you. Anything that triggers you in life, and if you see a pattern repeating itself that's triggering you, this is temperance at work in you, trying to make you more conscious, more self-aware, and more to develop more mastery of yourself. What we see here below the angel is in essence, more or less, simply desire. It's our desires. When the desire nature is out of control, then we find ourselves just going from one desire to the next, 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 always trying to fulfill these desires. And this is pretty much kind of the nature of most habits or addictions. And we know how that goes for everyone. But the good news is it's our destiny to master these things. The angel helps us do this, helps develop and ripen our own personal desire nature. So you don't have to tell anyone else what your true heart's desire is. But by all means, don't hide it from yourself. Be honest with yourself about whatever it is. And then work with the angel to see what the angels wants to do with this. Just like the strength key, right? The strength key, she has mastered this desire nature completely. But this isn't just doesn't mean that this lion here is like some docile force. It's not even close. This is raw power, like you were saying, Jesse. But she's controlling it through love and suggestion. One of my best teachers would say, in these regards, be gentle but firm with yourself. And we're always finding this balance of caring for our own animal natures while not allowing them to overcome us, right? I love the imagery of Mary where she has her foot on the neck of the serpent. The serpent has the fruit in his mouth. She's not, she hasn't killed the serpent. Serpent's very much alive, and it has this fruit that it desires in its mouth. But she has it under her foot in perfect control, just like the strength key. And when we develop that level of control within our own nature, from the highest to the lowest of our incarnate being, now you can harness that life force and raise it and assist us to raise consciousness back to self, to source. The temperance key helps us do this, but it does it often through many subtle trials. Trial and error is kind of the thing here. In astrology, this is Sagittarius, the archer, right? Which is part animal in its lower nature, and it's above nature. It's a marksman, right? In its higher nature, and it's aiming right towards self or core, the one. Interesting. Sagittarius points towards the very center of our galaxy. The whole point here is we want to get as intimate consciously with this being as we can. So your homework this week is just simply to work with this key and just this key. Make your intention or your prayer to make direct inner connection and a conscious contact with this being in your dreams. Ask for it. Ask to have the experience to meet this being in your dreams. Then meditate on this key using the core practice. Let it all go and see what comes. Thank you all for your presence and light. Blessings of peace to you all on the path. The floor is now open for any questions or comments.